Ready, steady, go, go, go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Picked up poetry on the show. Whoosh, bang, cackle, crackle, sizzle, pop, fizz, oats, now launched, oh gosh, gee whiz. It's up and out there, shooting high, ablaze across, World Wide Web sky, keeps the Pictos taking flight, winged with block on artful sight, visions of the way I see the world around you and me. All right, not probably the greatest one, but it is something I found that I thought was interesting, a visual poem.
It's visual.
It is. I like visual poetry a lot, regardless of what the words contain. So let's say the disembodied voice in the background. There's two of them right now. Let me bring one of them online. That's me, Shen. Hi. This is.
Hi.
Okay. This is me. And you are watching SG2 on Space, the only weekly space show. If you're watching this, presumably you're watching on YouTube, since that's where the show is broadcasted here. And, you know, this is SG2 on Space, episode 209. As the name suggests, we're going to be talking about a Starliner today. By we, let's actually talk about who is the other person.
Well,
Hi.
Hello, Shen.
Hello. This is Dr. Leonard Kramer, and I notice you are so much clearer now. What happened to you?
Oh, nothing dramatic. It's not like I bathed or anything. It's that I got a webcam.
Okay.
Somewhat, a little bit better webcam. Yeah.
Yeah, like you look a lot clearer. Obviously, you didn't bathe. I mean, you did bathe. I'm sure you did.
I bathe every day. I'm actually pretty, you know, finicky about that. So,
for our viewers from 10,000 years in the future, you may think we live in primitive times, but people do bathe and shower even in the early 21st century. Imagine that. So,
right.
We may not understand a lot of things. But okay, before I go on, I will say support the show on patreon.com/SGTNSpace. Thank you to our donors, Kyle Baker, Sam Welsh, and John Graves for your continued donations. I'm going to have a ticker running at the bottom with all that note. And of course, I also have to thank Atum Ra, who was my producer for over a year before taking over the show.
Lord Ra
will always
try to follow that part.
Yes, of course. So I'm going to keep this running on the bottom. Now, obviously, given the fact that this is, for those watching this live, it's pretty recent news. First of all, I could just jump into what it is, but Leonard, understandably, you worked at Boeing before, and oh, sorry, is that something I shouldn't say?
I guess it's too late now. I mean,
too late. It's too late. All right. So, what is this CST-100 Starliner? Wasn't it supposed to launch like 7 years ago?
Yeah. So CST-100 is what's called the Starliner, and it's a Boeing product. The United States for years had the shuttle, and the shuttle was the United States' ability to reach the space station. It was used to construct the space station, and it was in a sort of like a cooperative arrangement with Russia, but things with Russia have kind of soured. We're not really getting along with them too well anymore. But even before then, the United States wanted to have some capability to get to the International Space Station. And so around 2010, there was some money put up to fund, or a competition for two vehicles that would have the capability of getting to low Earth orbit and dock with space station. And one of the companies was well-known SpaceX. It's run by Elon Musk, who's, I think, kind of an eccentric genius of our time. And then the big company called Boeing,
which
the Boeing company
I've also heard of, I'm sure.
And yeah, Boeing was the favorite. They got more money. They got $4.2 billion in this contract, and it was what they call fixed price. previously, NASA had been using something called fixed or cost
Cost
plus.
plus.
Yeah, cost plus.
What's the
And
difference?
what that meant was, and forever I've thought it was like not a good idea. What you do is whatever the cost of developing the space vehicle, the company would bid on that, and NASA would pay for any overruns. So you had incentive to yeah, it produced an incentive to
Mhm.
not that it necessarily created that situation where you would produce cost overruns to make more money, but really it was just not a good way to handle that. So NASA decided, with political pressure from the Congress and so forth, to do this thing called fixed cost, uh, and so
How
what that
much
meant was,
was the fixed cost?
so Boeing studied Starliner, and they came up with a proposal for the vehicle that is flying now, for $4.2 billion, and so NASA gave them $4.2 billion. NASA also wanted competition, so they gave SpaceX, who was not
Mhm.
favored to be able to deliver on this contract. I don't know. I don't remember the exact amount, but I think it was. You can check me. 2.7,
Yeah,
2.6, or
I think that's right.
2.7 billion, compared to
Like 4 point something.
Boeing getting 4.2 billion. Now the Boeing entry has more capability. I mean, and also it has the ability to reboost station, which is one of the main reasons why NASA
It's like
has
it was given more money, in other
yeah.
words.
So that's why they were given more money. So because there was more, greater capability, and it did. When it started out, it looked like Boeing was on track. I think originally they were planning on, the contract was awarded in 2010. I think they were planning on test flights in 2014 or 2015, and then a crewed flight, a full up crewed flight in 2017.
Right.
But
This. Go
yeah,
ahead.
so they started running into problems, and the problems were almost more numerous than I can even remember. I mean, I just remember one problem right after another. The first one had to do with a fuel leak. Actually, it was a oxygen leak on ground testing um, for the boosters, and that was a setback.
Hmm.
Um, there was many other problems that they ran into with the launch vehicle and so forth. But and then the delays, Boeing was forced to absorb the the costs, and so Boeing had to report to their stockholders that they were kicking in, I don't know, a few hundred million here and a few hundred million there, and it ended up that altogether, up to the date today, Boeing has absorbed $2.2 billion, resulting from their need to do, um, you know, need to do rework and to fix problems that had occurred. And among the problems are things like, as I mentioned, fuel leak in the engine,
Hmm.
and um, things like problems with some insulating tape that was found to be flammable, um, and so forth. They didn't fly until they flew their first test vehicle was flown in 2019 in December. That was the orbital test flight, and the mission the flight really was a failure. They didn't achieve orbit. It turned out that they were pulling a time tag. It used to be like time tagging, meaning assigning the time to something in software has always been problematic. In my career, that's something that's come up many times. And the way I understand it is that the software on the vehicle pulled a fiducial time from the booster rocket from the Atlas that was launching it, and it somehow got corrupted. I don't know all the details of that, and it set the time. It caused a 10 or 11 hour delay or advance in the time that things were supposed to sequence, and so they ended up not getting into the orbit as a result of this time delay, and they used up too much of their attitude control fuel, and so they had to close out.
When was this one again?
This was in December of 2019.
Okay.
So they did not achieve the desired orbit. They were not able to dock with station. And then afterward, it turned out that there were some other issues with the software having to do with the way thrusters were assigned. And there was mapping of certain kinds of thrusters in software. So it was software issues. I don't completely understand what happened there, but there were several of these problems that were discovered on orbit during the test flight. And then again, but then there was some kind of valve mapping error that was not found, and it was later determined that it probably would have caused a mission failure. So it's a very serious issue.
Are these more like software glitches?
The valve mapping error. Valve mapping was a software error. The software was commanded to. I surmise. I mean, I don't have any. Right. I don't have any information about any inside information or anything like that. But I surmise from reading the public announcements and the news reports that the valves were mapped incorrectly in the software, and if they had been used, it would have caused loss of mission, because it would have been on departure or re-entry that the command module would detach from a service module. The service module is all of the equipment that is used to for life support and so forth in the main capsule where the crew is contained, and it's disposable, so it breaks away and it burns up completely. But it has to detach from the command module, service module, command module. So it has to detach, and those thrusters would have been fired in the wrong direction and would have caused a collision.
Does not sound like it would have been good.
So
okay, sorry. I don't. Yeah. Continue with your timeline of events.
So also in 2019, in that same mission, there was intermittent comm problems. In other words, there was problems with communication, and I haven't really been able to understand what it was what the problem was. I do not believe that they ever actually resolved what the communication problem was. I think it involved the TDRS satellite. TDRS are a group of satellites that are in geosynchronous orbit that have been used for many years for communication by NASA and also by other agencies of the government.
If we're gonna move along the timeline a little bit, sorry, I understand there's a lot of issues.
And I'm sort of long-winded. Yeah, I know.
I mean, you spent 10 minutes talking about 2019, but that's okay.
Well, okay, so they were supposed to, so they pushed it back, and they absorbed a lot of costs.
Right. Okay.
It came up to the second test flight was in May of 22, and they finally did fly in May of 22, it was not completely successful. For that flight, there were these thrusters that were found to have been contaminated with water or corrosion or something like that. And so, but I think that flight did successfully dock with ISS, and so it was they're sort of moving along.
Yeah.
But prior to that, they had discovered these really serious issues having to do with.
I'm just gonna add a note here for our viewers that all this time, even though successfully docked, it was still uncrewed. It was just
that's right. That's right. So there were these this insulating tape. It's actually anti-friction or
Mhm.
protective tape that was used to keep wiring from getting scuffed. Well, it was found that the adhesive in that was flammable under
Yeah, that
certain
doesn't sound
conditions.
good if there's a human on board, you know?
Yeah.
Wouldn't do well with
Also,
fire.
NASA has a history from Apollo 1, which um, I was a little boy for Apollo 1, and all of
Mhm.
the crew was killed on the ground because of a fire, and so that was a bad scene. So NASA should be very, very sensitive to that kind of thing.
That was
Um,
in 2022, the
that
May
was that,
2022 flight.
right. That was in 2022. So
Um,
they did go forward with that. I think that there was some other kinds of issues that oh
yeah.
yeah, the parachute. The
Yep.
parachute had some kind of breakaway lines that were deemed
This
not
is
that were thought
flammable
not to be,
tape.
yeah,
Yep.
not to be strong enough. If one of the vehicle comes down on 3 parachutes, just like Apollo did in the
Hmm.
old days, but if one of the parachutes were to fail, which is not an extremely unlikely event, um, it could cause the other 2 to fail, or I should say that I think it didn't have the factor of safety that was required for a life critical system.
Right. I mean,
So
it's one
anyway,
thing is,
yeah.
yeah.
So this is all
So
coming up to today.
May
There were
May 2022, they did an orbital flight test too. It was successful to that degree, but then it discovered a bunch of issues.
there are more issues, and
Hmm.
I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that, in my opinion, there's too many issues, too many things that are going wrong that really should not have gone wrong, and it's frustrating because I just think that, well,
It tried
I don't.
earlier, like, so it took them when they found out. Okay, so like, what was it? Like on June 1st, 2023. I'm looking at the timeline. The originally last year it was supposed to be July 21st for first crewed launch, but because of the adhesive tape that could possibly be flammable, they delayed that,
Yeah.
and those other issues like you mentioned. And then earlier this year, last month they tried, but the first launch attempt was scrubbed because of a faulty oxygen relief valve. What happened there?
Um, so I don't know it was the same kind of thing, that there was some kind of um, okay, so this was just recently, right? You're
Right,
talking
this
about.
last month.
Yeah, so that was an event where there was a relief valve, and they probably could have, if it was not a manned flight, a person flight,
Hmm.
they could have probably just recycled that, turned it on and turned it off to fix that. But because of the mission requirements,
Right.
they needed to scrub the mission. So that was actually a relatively minor issue. The
Okay.
more significant issue was helium leaks. Now, what's helium? Helium's an inert gas, but it's used to pressurize things. So any place where you have some kind of hydraulic or something where you need to pressurize something, they use helium because it's an inert gas, and it has properties that make it suitable for that task. But helium is also problematic because helium molecule, is so small that it
Hmm.
needs of um, uh, special kinds of engineering in order to contain it. Hydrogen has that property also.
Right.
They had helium leaks. They did not fix the helium leak. They just
They,
decided to go
they
forward
just
with it.
decided, okay, this is manageable. We're going to go launch.
And it probably was. That was probably the right call.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think they're continuing to have helium leaks now. The astronauts, as we speak,
Oh, let's,
uh,
maybe I can play a little short clip
okay.
if that's here. Can you even
I
hear
don't.
anything? No, you can't hear anything, right? You
No, I
can't
hear
hear
my
me.
heart beating.
I mean, that's probably the most important thing. Okay, you can see things though. That was when was this, Leonard?
June 5,
June
I think.
1st.
June 1st.
Well, that was right. It was not when they tried it.
Oh, they scrubbed on June first.
Was that when they scrubbed? Maybe
For some reason, I'm thinking that they launched on June 5th.
I should know this. I literally was on a meeting, and then we decided to all watch the launch.
Yeah.
That
too.
is that's like, hey, what is going on here? It's just going somewhere. Okay, so 7 days ago, right? I think.
Yeah, that was about June 5th.
I think these YouTube ads are incredibly annoying. Okay, anyways, here, let me see if we can get this.
Hey, bye. Hi. Bye.
Okay, yeah. This was obviously a shortened version of the launch. The other one was 3
Yeah.
hours long.
That rocket is called an Atlas V, by the way.
I know you guys probably can't hear anything, but you can.
The Atlas V, the rocket that the main stage there, it's powered by Russian rockets, Russian engines.
So these are Russian engines.
Yeah. The main thruster, it's a Russian. It's called RG 180, 140, something like that. I don't remember. And that's a little bit of an issue also because Congress has told the Air Force to get out from underneath the need to use Russian engines. And it I think it runs on kerosene. It's liquid oxygen and kerosene. Somebody can write in and tell me if I'm mixed up with something, but I think that's right. It's called the Atlas V.
Capture all this.
What?
I said somebody had a pretty good camera to capture all this.
Yeah, and what a relief too.
When you saw this, were you thinking?
Yeah, I didn't have I don't have a good attitude about Boeing because of all of these issues. I don't, I tend to be a safety kind of oriented person, and I'm not success oriented. So I always am trying to think about what's going to go wrong. So it was quite a relief for this to happen.
Leonard is always thinking of what could go wrong.
With a rocket, yeah. and they've delayed their return 7 days, and they made that announcement just the other day while the flight is yeah, okay. I'm comfortable with that. and also if there's lives at stake, okay.
All right, true.
Yeah.
There's lives at stake on that one.
And if it was just a satellite or something like that, then their insurance is just a little higher, maybe. But it is definitely very cool.
I mean, it was able to reach all the way to to the space station and dock with it.
But I will say I don't think that they're completely. It was the things were completely flawless. It's a solid rocket booster that helps with takeoff. And I guess people pretty much. I mean, all my life I've been watching. I've been seeing this. All my life since I was a little boy. Even Mercury. I even remember Project Mercury and Gemini.
What just happened here? Is this like the second stage or is
this part? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think like something just fell off. The engines.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good thing. I think this is like a second stage.
And then at some point they have to switch to the animation since I guess they don't have to use anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, what software is that? Do you know?
This might be software called. I'm just a guess, but it could be. There's something called Unreal Engine or something like that, but I don't really know. Okay.
Just curious. All right, so now they're on the space station and they're just hanging out there for a few days.
They're presumably they have a lot of work to do.
Okay, I mean they're not
being in space. They were supposed to be helping with the space. I think there's 9 people on the space station right now.
That's like a record right now, right? Or maybe it's not.
It might tie with the record. I don't I don't exactly know that
So
either.
what's causing the? They're supposed to come back. What, like
Well, they were supposed to
in
be
May?
there for a week, and they've delayed it another week. And they just announced that they just announced that after they were up there, and the purpose was stated to be to give engineers more time to assess the state of the vehicle. But it's like unplanned, and so it sounds sketchy to me. I also want to point out that I've attempted to find, like, a lot of these are mishap type of things that have happened. They qualify like when the comm goes out, or when they have the software wiring up the thrusters so that they're not wired correctly. To me, that's a mishap or a near miss.
Yeah, let me show this.
And
Apparently, have you heard of this?
All kinds of leaks. Yeah.
More leaks discovered.
Yeah. So I don't know that the leaks are that significant, but
5 different helium leaks.
I want to argue. I want to be a little bit heavier than I have in the past on Boeing.
Okay, let's hear Leonard talking about Boeing and how they.
I think I've tried to find reports, like mishap investigation reports, and these are not publicly available. And so they did have a mishap, or they did have near misses. If the software was wiring up the thrusters to fire incorrectly, if that's true, okay. And I don't know facts about it. I just know what I read in the prol feed, that comes through. If that's true, it seems to me there needs to be a forensic investigation and needs to be publicly accessible, what the findings were. And I couldn't find anything like that. I'm told that Boeing has proprietary software, that the software is secret.
They go and troubleshoot, but then they don't let anybody know what they found out.
We don't know what they troubleshooted, and NASA had oversight, and I believe, but I don't know. I don't really have confidence that NASA has the technical acumen to really judge critically, these kind of things. And so, in my mind, if it had been an airplane that crashed, if there had been a near miss with an airplane, like the plug that flew out of the 737, then we have a transportation safety board that goes in and does an investigation. And we're not trying to find fault with anybody. We're just trying to find out what the facts are. And I don't think that's going on. I don't think we have an agency. I don't think NASA as an agency does that. I mean, I can be wrong. Somebody tell me that I'm wrong. And I think they're going to have an accident eventually.
You're saying NASA doesn't, there's not an equivalent to inspect these commercial companies for any accident.
Yeah, and people are going to be all mad at me, and I'll probably get fired, but it's like
okay.
I shouldn't. I mean, I'm just asking questions. It's really just a question. It's like, I don't see where that, I just don't see the equivalence. Like, when an airplane crashes, the NTSB goes out and they investigate. And so we don't have anything that's equivalent for NASA. NASA kind of has the role of in a certain sense, as the FAA for aircraft. But
yeah, go ahead.
And so we trust NASA, and I even trust Boeing. It's just that I question whether I just question whether they have the technical ability to understand the problems, and the fact that there were so many problems. And maybe I'm influenced by a hostile media, or just that kind of thing. I don't know. It just seems like there's so many problems, and that the approach to the problem is, oh, there's a problem, we'll fix it. Okay, we're done. Let's go on. And I see that the problem is not just the problem. The problem is that you had a problem, and the problem was obvious. Like the thrusters were wired incorrectly. They were set up incorrectly. There should have been like at least 3 different inspections done of that.
Well, if you go with the hey, we got to inspect everything kind of mentality, though, would you? I mean, you're always going to find more issues, but How is let me ask you this: how is SpaceX able to do it?
Well, that's a good question.
Like, is their
SpaceX has been
vehicle?
flying since 2020.
Yeah, is their vehicle
I,
like just because it's less complicated? It doesn't have these issues.
that could be, it could be that
Okay.
it's, but I kind of tend to think that Boeing has a problem. I think they have a cultural issue with the way the way the company does engineering, and I I'm not smart enough to know exactly what that problem is, but I don't think it has to do with, oh, we have a problem. Okay, we'll fix this. Okay, it's all fixed. We're done. In a month. I think they need to look at, why did you have the problem in the first place? Because not having the thrusters wired. I mean, not wired, but having them designated in the incorrect order, if that's what happened, right?
Right.
And I confess I don't know the facts about this. I just know what I've read. But if they were wired wrong in software, that's such an egregiously obvious wrong thing, right? That it seems to me like somebody was rushed, or somebody didn't know how to do it, or
Mhm.
something, or there was a lack of inspection, or there was some manager going in, hurry up, oh yeah, I don't care about all that documentation. Don't put those,
Yeah,
you're putting a lot of comments in that code. I don't see why we need that, and or they picked the wrong computer language. I don't even know what computer language they're using for their avionics. So
no idea.
they,
Okay,
I
so
have
there
no
seems to
idea.
be but the lack of transparency here in terms of what these problems might be in detail isn't that a common thing for commercial
Yeah,
companies to not
yeah,
review?
yeah, I think so. I think that
Okay.
is a common kind of thing, and I'm
It's just
suggesting
that
that
in this particular scenario with Boeing, they just have so many problems, like one
that
after another.
it's too many problems, and so it makes you wonder, with this complicated machine,
Right.
what have we not caught? I
So
mean, if they would not wire the thrusters correctly, if they would use flammable tape, and it's a company that has it's a company that's been doing space flight since Mercury, I guess, at least since Apollo. Boeing has been, doing this kind of work.
I'm gonna
What,
quote. I don't know who Saxy Salad is, but whomever that viewer is, VMV plus testing is so crucial. Agreed. All right, go on, Leonard.
so yeah. So anyway, I should calm down.
Well, it's okay to not calm down since clearly, I mean, you were there for many years working
I,
for
I,
Boeing.
I want them to be successful, and I don't think they know how to be successful. I think we're taking a risk
So
with this
with
machine.
this latest what do you call it, development right going on right now. So I'm just quoting what this article says. NASA is giving Boeing another 4 days, extending Wilmore and Williams missions. So there were two people on the test flight on board on board the ISS from June 14th to no earlier than June 18th. Though it's unclear whether the leaks are to blame for the delay.
Right. So
The impacts of any 5 small leaks in the service module helium manifolds will have on the remainder of the mission.
right. So the fact that that's not transparent, it's fair for us to think. So it's fair to be suspicious, or to feel like this is sort of sketchy. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, because if there was a good reason for it,
Mhm.
we found we found something and we need to check it. I guess that's what they are saying here, that they have these leaks and they want to
Mhm.
check it out. They need more time to check it out. But you know,
Yeah,
um, and and
that's very
and by
true.
the way, even with the flammable tape, I checked
Mhm.
into that. So they didn't actually replace all of the flammable tape. They pulled some
What did
of it
they do?
out, but
Okay.
they covered it with the
Well, that's one
places
way
that they were.
to fix things, I suppose. Just cover it.
Well, except that it's the adhesive that's flammable, and I guess you can try to mitigate that by reducing the exposure to oxygen. I don't know. I just think that they should not have used flammable tape from the very beginning. And furthermore, they should have known not to use the flammable tape. And so that's why I call it,
I,
that's why it's a near miss.
okay. I know we spent most of this episode just talking about how badly CST-100 Starliner has been doing in terms of its development and testing and launch. But what is it actually supposed to do?
It's supposed to. The contract calls for Boeing to support 6 flights to space station. They have built, if I understand correctly, they have built 3 of these vehicles. 2 of them were flown for the test flight, for the unmanned test flight. The one that's up there now has not been flown before, and so they are supposed to support 6 flights to space station.
How many people could it fit?
Well, that's a little bit ambiguous. If you look at the literature, they say, well, we can fly 7 people.
And that's
up
how you
there.
said? I guess that's how you
right.
said. Yeah.
But they can do a combination of people and cargo, right? And so I think the nominal missions are for 4 astronauts at a time.
Okay, and then the rest you just put obviously a cargo. I think it was like this one, or wait, what was it? 760 pounds of cargo.
I guess that's good.
That was this test, and it's supposed to carry back about 750. So yeah, I mean, depending on how many seats there are, I suppose that's like a couple.
But it you can't help but think that if SpaceX had been doing this project, that they would not have run into as many problems. And I want to be positive about it, but it's just very hard to.
Right. Understandable. I mean, it's been quite the journey here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, do you want to move on to talk about what I'm interested in?
Of course. It's the highlight of my week.
Hey, what is the Baja UAP? Have you heard of that?
Well, Baja is like the extension of California down into the Pacific Ocean, near Mexico.
So this, all right. So we always.
I actually do think I heard of some kind of UAP in Baja, but enlighten me or refresh my memory.
I have no idea. I'm just going to my favorite website. Not one of my favorite. One. Oh wait. Okay. There's too many.
By the way, NASA is working on those Russian engines. They want to get those replaced. They're working on a new booster called Vulcan. But I just wanted to add that.
So this is unknown on when this was done. Okay, tell me if this is even realistic looking to you, or it just looks like somebody did some CGI. Because I don't know. I don't think it's. Okay, let me see if I can just load this up. Here.
That looks like something that was generated by ChatGPT.
Yeah. What are you saying of that? Like that's real, right?
ChatGPT.
Like what else could that be? But extraterrestrials, obviously.
Okay.
You don't. I mean, if you saw something like this.
Well,
I don't know. Actually.
I do.
Blurry. And who's this guy?
That looks like a human being.
That was just some random guy talking. All right. Okay, so this one's, I guess, not really convincing.
Almost not. I believe. I hate to say this. Yeah, I hate to say this, but almost nothing you show me is going to be convincing.
Almost nothing I show you is convincing.
Right. Occasionally, you'll hear me say that. Yeah, that's pretty compelling.
Okay.
But that was not.
Okay. All right, skipping this. Okay.
That looks
Well, that's just an ad. So let's skip over that. Skip over this. And skip over another ad.
I've already eaten dinner, so.
Yeah.
I did not have steak.
So, what is this? Okay. These are people discussing it. That does not look real. I think these are CGI animations of what people describe they saw. Okay, this one's not that great. Let me see. A bunch of talking heads. I don't like it.
I don't like talking heads either. As I get older, I become even less impressed with them.
Okay. Let's try this last one. There's 2. Why is this silly video here? I'm gonna skip that, please. Okay. Is this part of it?
Oh, my aching back.
Oh, nope. Here we go. Let's see here. All right. So there's a cigar-shaped object flying over Lake Norman. This was, I think, when was it? Yeah.
Sorry.
Like, okay, imagine if you see that. Wouldn't you think it's something? They always have to interview these.
She's
experts.
human.
Okay, no. They're just talking heads talking about what it could possibly be.
It looks like it's a cigar tube, and
I don't know what just happened there.
One of the you don't know about cigars. Yeah.
Is that real? Oh, this is real too, supposedly. All these are real. See?
Okay.
Like there's this video. This video is pretty good. Like look at that.
Okay.
Look at that. What could that be? That can't be anything but, extraterrestrial crafts, potentially.
I guess.
Right? I mean, like, if you look outside your airplane window and you see something like that, what else would you think it is?
I don't know.
Okay.
So, is this like a hobby? Have you been always fascinated with these things?
Yeah. See, look how it's flitting around. Like, it's not real. Yeah. Look at that. Yes, I've been interested in like mysteries and unidentified flying objects since I was a kid.
Okay.
But I have yet to join any society to actively look for them or investigate.
Okay.
And Matthew Lee says, I don't know. Looks kind of sus, man. Okay. Well, you know what? You might be right. What do I know?
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well,
how many people are watching? Are we?
At least 3, given the comments, possibly more. Some people just lurk in the background and don't say anything. Which is the majority of people that watch anything.
I guess I could lurk, but I mean, I can't really lurk because,
you could lurk, but
I could, but it would be a very boring show, I suppose.
Yeah, you could. All right, so I think we basically went through quite a bit. Leonard, thanks for going over all the issues. Actually, not
all the issues, but I really am unhappy. I am unhappy about Starliner. So I worry about it, and I want it to be successful.
If it lands, it's supposed to do something like this.
Yeah.
So it will have these little cushion things too.
And unlike Apollo, it's going to land on white sand. I think white sand's on land. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which I'm definitely up for. I always thought that the ocean landed on the ocean.
So it drops off this final little thing here.
Yeah.
And then I guess that's like part of the heat shield or something.
I'm assuming. And then these cushions expand and it bounces on them. So that's supposed to protect the. And any one of these, like one of the parachutes can fail and it'll still come down, and even if they have to come down and these you see those cushiony things down in the lower right hand corner, even if they don't inflate, then
it's like airbags.
It would be a rough landing, but the crew would be okay, so I think if they can get this far, they'll be okay. I just, That
was 20.
Yeah.
I don't. That's not animated.
I don't completely trust the software or the.
It looks pretty.
It looks gorgeous.
It does.
I think it looks better than SpaceX's.
It does, and it was created without any welding, right? I read that.
Yeah, that's another thing. They did something with a single piece, no welded,
no welding at all.
And that's supposed to reduce the weight and increase the reliability of the thing.
Right. So, okay. So,
but basically, I'm unhappy with the lack of transparency, with the number of things that have gone wrong, and the fact that there hasn't been a non-advocate review of the work that's been done. Non-advocate means outside agency, like the NTSB, something like that, to come in to find out what's going on, and I think it's intrinsically unsafe because of that.
These are real pictures. But anyway, you can go to starlinerupdates.com for more info, that the official info that Boeing puts out. So no doubt, maybe in the next few days, we will. Well, I guess NASA has put a deadline on when it needs to come back. So hopefully they figure out these helium issues, and that won't be a significant deterrent from actually. Coming back.
Another thing about it is that it's supposed to be capable of staying on station for a long time, for many months.
Oh, really?
That's another kind of, because it can be used as escape vehicle.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And also the engines are rated so that they can reboost station. That's a very important thing, because station is coming down all the time. A lot of people don't know that. It's like the drag from the atmosphere is causing the
space
energy
station
of the orbit.
The International Space Station is constantly falling down, and if nothing boosts it, it's just going to burn up in the atmosphere.
Within maybe a year or so.
Within a year.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So a very important thing. Hopefully the Starliner works and everything is fine.
Right. Okay, I'll stop talking about it now.
You can stop talking for now. We can always talk more about it in a future episode. For now, everybody, thank you for watching this show. Like I always say, look up because you never know what you will see. See you all next week. Oh, let me add one more thing. Of course, you can watch the show YouTube, subscribe, share, do all your things.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
SG2 on Space. For the last number of episodes, we've been doing this on that playlist. If you want to look into the past before Leonard's entrance into the show, of course, Leonard.
Why would you?
Why would you do that? But if you do want to do that, you can look up Action One Media, who I used to work with, and you will find lots of episodes with just me. Yay! And lastly, thank you to supporters. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/SG2 on Space. So with all that said, we'll be back next week.
I think so. Even if I do get fired.
What are we going to find out then? Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, good night.
All right.
Namaste.
Namaste. I knew that was going to happen.
Bye.
Namaste.
Next week.